to us.
But you're not new anymore.
Excuse me, more.
So welcome, everybody. This is the July meeting of the Wharf District Council, and if everything goes smoothly, we have a good full agenda this evening. We're going to start out thanking Doug Gribbel, who's there, for setting up our new AV equipment so that I think everybody will agree it sounds better than our previous, and will be what we'll be using going forward with any luck. So thank you, Doug, for helping out with that. We're going to start out, as we always do, with our report from the Boston Police District A1, and we have Captain Martin joining us in person this evening, I think for the first time. Is that right, Captain?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Take it away to you. What's been going on?
Well, good evening, everybody. All's been pretty good down the Wharf area here. So just to go through some stats, you really don't have any. So I'll blast through these and I'll leave it open for more of a question and answer if you guys have anything for me. But obviously this area, no homicides, no rapes, no robberies, business or residential, no aggravated assaults, no breaking and enterings, residential or commercial. There was one auto theft from the Safeguard Enterprise, excuse me. Someone went in a garage and stole an Enterprise rental. You had 6 larcenies, all very minor, stealing from tip jars and trying to open, unlock cars and stealing change or whatnot, but none of them are forced entries or no trends, anything to be concerned about. And you had a moped where the chain was cut and the electric moped was stolen. So pretty unremarkable in this area. Things are pretty quiet. Some issues with some of the encampments. We've been working with the coordinated response team and doing our best to move along a couple of these people who've been a source of, I guess, an issue with complaints for you all. So we've been working with them, trying to move along, sending officers through the parks around midnight or so, address some of the complaints you brought up last time. They moved people a couple times, but several times there's been nobody there as well. So again, all's looking well. I'm going to leave it open now to anyone on the call or who has any questions or concerns that you want me to address.
I have a question.
Sure.
Are there any incidents of wallets being stolen or people pickpocketing or anything?
I have not been made aware of any pickpocketing or any trends or anything like that. Do you know of anything in particular? Or?
No, it's just that we never hear of anything like that. It's so rare. I mean, when you consider going to other places, it's quite common.
Yeah, no, it's which is a good thing, right? So,
It's a very good thing.
so yeah, no, I have not heard of any. I've not seen any reports. I don't think at all this year or last year even of any pickpockets. Again, most of the things plaguing the areas is package thefts, and they're not doing any forced entries. They're just going to places where the packages are left in the vestibule, and they'll walk by and take them. Or if the vestibule is left open, they'll go in and take it from in front of your door. But we're having really no issues with people breaking and entering and doing things like that. It's just crimes of opportunity, trying door handles, taking your change or your phones or your packages off your student. Anyone else get any questions or concerns or anything you need us to address or you need help with? Ma'am.
How is the suicide hotline or hotline working for you all?
That's not under my purview, so I mean,
Okay.
it'd probably be Department of Public Health would be handling
Just
that.
curious as to whether you were getting some calls that used to go to your hotline or something.
I don't answer phone calls. I couldn't answer that question.
Okay.
But maybe someone from Public Health or whoever runs the hotline. But sorry.
Well, I think the point here is that you guys are doing a great job of keeping us safe, and the bad guys don't want to come into our area. So thank you very much for that. We are incredibly appreciative. Fernando, you have a question, I see. Oh, no, you're clapping. There you go. Other questions or comments anybody would like to share before we move on? That's a really super report.
And also regarding the noise going down the streets from, I assume it's motorcycles or cars actually racing, the very loud engines. Is there any way to deter these people?
So, did you ask me this last time? So, yeah, so again, we get random complaints about this, which makes it difficult is if it's random, if it's coming through on Tuesday at 2 a.m. or Friday at noon, then we can't really do selective enforcement. So the best way to address it is if you see them parked or kids, revving their engines and motorcycles in their park, just call us and tell us where they're at. We can respond quickly and address it. We're very strapped for resources, so just to assign someone, 20 hours a day to try to wait for someone to rev their engine wouldn't work. So if you find times in places that it's being consistent, I will absolutely set resources down there, monitor it, and we'll deal with it accordingly. But we need like a narrower time frame and a location, and we could absolutely help with that.
And that's 911 that you would have people call?
You can call 911, you can do 311.
Other one, okay.
311, just be specific, this times of day, this day of the week, this times of the day, we're experiencing such and such. And then
Yep.
I look at everyone that comes through, we designate it to either, we're gonna go auto theft task force, this community service officer, I take it myself, give it to detectives or patrol. So the more that come through, squeaky wheel, right, gets the grease. So the more that come through, the quicker we are able to allocate some resources.
Sure.
But either way would work. 311 probably is not an emergency, but either one would work.
Great. Thank you.
Of course.
Other questions or comments?
You're doing such a great job.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you. Well, I'm very lucky. We have a lot of great officers down here who are, again, I hate to keep saying it, but we're strapped for resources, everybody is, and we redeploy them on a weekly basis based off these meetings and complaints and concerns from you all. So if there's anything that's not being addressed, that starts to become a problem, let us know as soon as possible so we can reallocate what we do have and try to nip it in the bud before it gets going.
well, we'll do that. And we pass along our heartfelt thanks to you and your team. Much appreciated.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Moving on to the Boston Transportation Department, Nathaniel Fink is going to tell us a little bit about what they're considering doing for Milk Street. Do you have a presentation, or how would you like to share with us?
Sure. I do have a slide deck.
Okay.
And I'm happy to share my screen if that's something I can do.
I think you should be able to.
Great. And just to introduce myself, everyone, my name is Nathaniel Fink. I'm a transportation planner with the Boston Transportation Department, and I am working on this project, the Milk Street project. And I'm just going to work on getting my screen share set up.
Great.
Okay, just confirming, can folks see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, great. So to introduce the project, last September, the mayor announced a package of new bike lane projects. The purpose is to connect our bike network to bridge gaps between existing and emerging facilities, providing protected space for biking on busier streets and safer streets on quieter streets as well. So what we're really doing is focusing on the types of bike facilities that we know make people feel comfortable and more likely to choose bicycling as a mode of transportation. And in particular, we're really focusing on quick build projects this year. So our material toolkit are things like roadway striping, plastic flex posts, changes to signal timing, and changes to signage and curb regulations. These are all things that we can design and build in a relatively short amount of time. So for the Milk Street Better Bike Lane project, this is a priority project of the bike network expansion, and it is meant to provide an eastbound pair for folks who are bicycling into the financial district and the Wharf district coming from Tremont Street. It's a pair to State Street, which goes westbound. folks would access it via School Street. It also includes a very short segment of Washington Street in between School Street and Milk Street. This is also an opportunity to build on some of the success of the pedestrian zone and find ways to kind of find improvements for walking conditions, and also set up some longer term projects that are underway by some of my colleagues within BTD. We also are looking at finding ways to create legal space for pickup and drop off activities, a lot of which are very intense towards the Washington Street end of the street, and we would like to provide legal space for them. So as I mentioned, this whole package of projects was announced back in September. In December of 2022, we really began our community engagement work in earnest, and that started with sending out around 2,000 postcards to abutters in the area. We also went door to door to ground floor businesses, and we chatted with many of them. We left materials behind for those who were not available, and we will continue to follow up when we have new updates. We also began reaching out directly to larger stakeholders in the area, and have continued to have one-on-one meetings with folks to kind of update them on the project and where we are in the design process and what we're thinking about for the design. We also did a round of data collection and analysis with a lot of data collection last fall. We began working on the concept design and doing preliminary layout and looking at traffic signals. So I'm going to relatively quickly go through some usage patterns. I'm going to go relatively fast because I think I don't want to take too much time. But big takeaway is that pedestrians really are the dominant users along the entire corridor. At the Milk Street and Washington Street intersection, they were 85.5% of all the movements through the intersection. As we get down towards the Wharf district area, Milk Street at Broad Street, pedestrians were still a majority of movements through the intersection, so about 60%. People on bikes are also a significant part of the traffic mix. It is a commuting route that folks use to get in and out of downtown. And throughout the day, they're about 12% of all traffic, and during certain peak times of the day, they constitute up to 30%, particularly in the morning peak. That adds up to about 300 to 500 folks on bikes throughout the day. The charts here show bicyclists, which are the darker lines compared to motor vehicle volumes. They're at a different scale, but the idea is to just show kind of how they compare. Motor vehicle volumes on Milk Street itself are relatively low, especially for kind of a downtown street. And the speeds of traffic are on the lower end. So between 19 and 23 miles per hour for the 90th percentile speed. That's a metric that we look at kind of citywide when we're sort of figuring out if speeding is an issue or how big of an issue speeding is. There's also a lot of conflicts at the curb. We have very little designated space for loading and pickup and drop off activity, and yet there is a lot of it. And we would like to create some designated space for that activity. So that brings us to the design goals for the project. Safety and comfort for pedestrians is paramount. We need protected space for bicycling as well, because again, the curbside demand is really significant, and the existing unprotected bike lanes on Milk Street are just simply not working. They're parked in most of the time. So the designs that I'll share in a couple slides will kind of, this is the design approach that we're bringing forward as we're thinking about how we can lay out the street and how the sort of the vehicle network and walking network and bicycling network function around it. We are going to be designing for pedestrian safety and comfort. And what that means in particular is that we're looking for opportunities where we can improve visibility of crosswalks through what's called daylighting. This is a restriction of one or more parking spaces in front of a crosswalk to allow for better visibility between people walking and people driving. We'll also be looking at potential signal timing changes throughout the area to better serve folks who are walking where it is applicable and feasible to do so. We're going to be proposing protected bike lanes as well, and it's going to be a mix of one-way protected bike lanes and two-way protected bike lanes, depending on the section of the street. And then there's also a minor change to vehicle circulation that we're proposing. So Milk Street between Washington Street and Holly Street. We want to make that one way going westbound, a section that is currently two ways. Through that change, we can actually carve out designated space for loading and pick up and drop off activity. These changes would also mean some changes to on-street parking. So I mentioned there would be new short-term parking areas. There would also be fewer metered parking spaces, particularly on the section between Pearl Street and Surface Road. Talk a little bit about this proposed vehicle circulation change. So based on the data that we collected, which shows vehicle turning volumes through intersections, the number of vehicles that turn from Washington Street onto Milk Street
Something happened.
Yeah, we lost audio.
Not just audio, he froze.
We all have.
Okay. I
I
presume,
I suspect it's logging back in.
yeah, I would hope so. While we're waiting for Nathaniel to come back, I think everybody, we should know that we had a meeting with a number of the city councilors and Deputy Chief of Streets, as well as a host of other folks last week to express the Wharf District Council's support for the idea of a Milk Street bike lane connection to the system only if it was to replace the State Street design, which we consider to be disastrous. And the idea was that that the Milk Street would be two directions, not just one direction.
Hi,
Nathaniel
folks.
back again.
We seem to have completely lost internet connection. I was able to join in from my phone. Unfortunately, I can't run the slide deck from my phone. So I don't know if you want me to come back for your next meeting. I'm happy to do that. And I apologize. Sometimes 5 p.m. is a weird time of day for internet access at City Hall.
Yeah, we would like you to come back. In particular, we want you to be aware, Nathaniel, of the Wharf District Council's proposal for Milk Street. If you're not, you should look at it. It's on our website because we have studied this extensively as well. And we are enthusiastic about continuing the discussion about Milk Street if it is considered to be a two-way replacement for State Street. We are, the Wharf District Council, I'm sure that you are aware, is vehemently opposed to the State Street choice for a bike lane. And we have developed very specific plans that we hope that your department will take notice of and study. And we have asked the city to come back with a plan for a two vehicular lane route for State Street and a solution that would do a bi-directional Milk Street bike lane. So we have a very different vision for this than has been expressed so far. We would ask you respectfully to take into account the wishes of the community that you're putting this in.
Absolutely. So I'm more than happy to look at that once I have internet connection to do so.
Yeah.
I would be not as well able to answer questions about the State Street as I'm not directly working on that project myself. But I'll certainly take a look at that proposal. And again, I would be more than happy to come back to your next meeting.
That's great.
And I will try to be in a location where the internet connection is more reliable.
Great. Well, we'd appreciate that. And please understand that we consider these two to be absolutely inextricably linked. And I understand you're not working on that, but you know, the idea of having one lane going one direction and the other one going the other direction, and neither one of them doing what the community wants to have done is what we are hoping that you will reconsider. We are going to have Nathaniel come back next week. Anybody else want to say anything, or shall we just save that? Suzanne, looks like you want to say something.
When you show the people that you reached out to and the responses that you have, do you divide them into sections? Like your focus on the downtown section from Congress West versus the Wharf District section, which would be Congress Street East, is so different in terms of the population and their needs. And I'm just hoping that both of their opinions, both sides, are not lumped together in terms of the general response, that there's an understanding about meeting the needs of both areas, and not just one size fits all.
Absolutely. So sorry, it was a teeny bit echoey, but I think what I took away from your question was you wanted to know if we're approaching the different ends of Milk Street in a different way in terms of engagement. Yeah, so any project that we work on, we're looking at the entirety of the corridor and framing our engagement strategy based on, you know, who are the key stakeholders in the area. So we have been talking with abutters along the entire corridor, and the street does kind of change profiles in terms of its layout and the directionality and all that. And so those are some really key things that we had to talk about, particularly with stakeholders closer to the Washington Street end, particularly folks who own garages or manage large office building properties. You know, we were looking very closely at this question of a potential circulation change one way or another, because the street just isn't wide enough to fit 2 lanes of traffic, as well as to carve out space for loading and pickup and drop off. And we felt that was an important goal. So we were having some pretty intensive conversations around that with stakeholders more towards the Washington Street end. And we have also, you know, again, gone door to door to all businesses, and that includes all of the corridor, in particular between Pearl Street and Surface Road. And, you know, we're very eager to hear what folks think about the design proposal that we have, and hopefully working to fine tune it with folks based on their kind of, you know, each stakeholder's unique needs.
Great. And one of the things that Councilor Coletta asked for in our meeting with the Deputy Chief of Streets was the actual data on the traffic data, not just the summaries. Tom Nally is our transportation expert from ABC, and he has offered in the past to review that data to give us a better idea of how those conclusions, how you're drawing those conclusions. So we would appreciate getting the raw data so that we can take a look at that, and not just the summaries, please.
Sure, I can certainly do that.
Great.
And should I work with Suzanne to
Please.
Get scheduled? Great.
That'd be
Okay.
great. Thank
Okay,
you,
take care,
Nathaniel.
everyone.
Hope to see you next month.
Okay, and again, sorry about the internet connection.
Sorry,
Was there
was
another
it-
question?
Yeah, one question, sorry, it's Paul Wilson from Glen Hospitality. We have 3 restaurants along that stretch of road from India Street down to Surface Road. And we would suggest that we're not in favor of the bike lane along Milk Street, but if it were to go in, be on the right-hand side of the road as it approaches the aquarium. Restaurants, if you go up Milk Street, there's restaurants all the way up on the left-hand side as you progress down Milk Street. We do have some patios that we have there right now, and ease of access. and the ability to have patio seasonally from the city, we appreciate it. But if the bike lane was to go into that space, we would lose that ability also.
Absolutely. I appreciate that comment and I hear that. We have had a bit of a learning process over the past few years in terms of fitting outdoor dining stalls on our streets and also how they interact with bike lanes where we have them. So the design that we are working towards does have the bike lane on the left side of the street. And we know that outdoor dining is an important use that we want to continue to accommodate. And we would be able to continue that use. What would basically happen is that during the months when the outdoor dining stalls are in place, the bike lane would jog out from the curb and then go around the stall. So the stall could still be there. There would be no impact on your ability to access the patio from the restaurant via the sidewalk. The bike lane would simply. Sorry?
If you jog the bike lane out from the patio space, there's no room for traffic. The road isn't wide.
So parking would have to be restricted on the opposite side of the street to make that work.
Well, so we'd really like to see what you have come up with, and we would really like you
Yes,
to
and I
take
was
a-
very much hoping to share it as well.
Yeah, and we would really
Um,
like you to take a look at what we've come up with, because we have tried to
Yes.
take into account the things that are important to our members, like what we just expressed. So you've heard one comment from one of the people who is affected by it. We found out about your plans for Milk Street. Thank you very much for contacting us, but we found out about them originally through word of mouth. I don't know what your communication, you described your communication process, but unfortunately it hasn't filtered to any of our members. So we look forward to continuing this conversation next month.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry, I didn't catch the name of the gentleman who asked the question about the dining.
Paul Wilson.
Paul
Paul Wilson with Glenn.
Wilson.
With the Glenn.
And if you have not had one-on-one meetings with that company,
There's three pretty large buildings in Milk Street we own, so.
right? So if you're having one-on-ones with abutters and businesses on that route, you should definitely speak to Paul Wilson and Michael Glenn.
Absolutely. And I'd be glad to. I'm going to drop my email address in the chat. And anyone who wants to reach out to me directly is welcome to do so. And I will certainly be back and we'll share more information
Great. Thank you.
when I have a better connection. Okay.
Thank you. See you next month. Okay, so Brianna Miller, who's the Chief of Community Engagement, I know that you have a short time frame available for us. We welcome you. We're looking forward to, thank you very much for having Sarah be a part of our regular meetings, and the floor is yours if you'd like to tell us a little bit about what you're up to.
Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Brianna Malore. I am excited to be here. One of the key parts of my role is making sure that I'm connected to communities and constituencies citywide. So that is why I have to hop off early, because I have another meeting in Hyde Park. But as the Chief of Community Engagement, I oversee 3 separate departments: 311, which is the 24/7 non-emergency hotline, Office of Civic Organizing, which is really responsible for a lot of the proactive civic engagement, like beautification projects. We just released a round of block party grants to, for activation and placemaking. Spark Boston Council, which is really for 20 to 35-year-olds and making sure that demographics is engaged with city government and how to participate and understand how to participate. And last but not least, Office of Neighborhood Services, which is Sierra is the representative for this neighborhood which is basically the neighborhood liaisons and also cultural liaisons that represent different constituencies in the city of Boston. A lot of my role, of course, like I mentioned earlier, is being connected to community, but also understanding how it's embedded in a lot of the city processes that we run. Some of the things that are on my plate right now is one of the biggest charge that the mayor had is reforming kind of our development process. And it was announced, I believe, it might have been announced at the state of the city, but a planning committee that comprises all of the chiefs or departments that connect with like physical spaces and how to and determine how we can do planning better. A lot of my role is to make sure community, voice is a part of that, where that means also reform to like the Article 80 process, making sure that in that space, community has space to kind of influence and understand those messages are being brought up there. I also work on a lot of different random projects. One of the other charges of the mayor is arts and culture and having a deep investment into arts and culture. We just actually recently, the mayor actually recently awarded a little over 7 million, which is like the biggest investment into arts and culture in Boston's history. And the grants really focus on how can we allow people that are in this space to, either make a living, or how do we activate the spaces that we have. That's kind of one of the deep investments we've made there. And yeah, a lot of my role is to make sure community has an understanding of what's happening in the city, and also like vice versa, that like decision-making is influenced by community voices. So that is the breadth of my role. And I'm kind of happy to take questions from there. I could also let you all know just a couple of announcements that came out of the mayor's office recently. I believe there was a Globe article on this a couple of days ago. One of the areas that kind of is like across the citywide that we've been seeing is like impact on like how does development feel in different neighborhoods, and particularly in the downtown area. We've been really focused on like activation of our, activation of vacant spaces, whether that means businesses. So that there's been a space grant specifically given out from the mayor's office to make sure that empty parcels or empty spaces are being utilized, as well as the residential conversion program for downtown offices to make sure there's we see that we're in a housing crisis. How can we know that residential office space is transforming as a result of the pandemic, and how do we make sure to like really utilize the space that we have? So we're really focused on like, how do we really reactivate downtown and make sure and we know that when we have activation, places are safer, healthier, more vibrant. One of the other things that we just announced, the streets cabinet announced 2 or 3 RFPs specifically going out to request for proposals to evaluate our curb space, so we can get some availability for electric vehicle charging stations in the city of Boston. And that's a long time coming. And I know it's just announcement of like the proposal, but it's really an opportunity for us to source 8 groups or applicants that are able to kind of bring us to execution of that. So there's a lot of things going on in the city, and a lot of the community engagements cabinet is to have their hands in a little bit of everything and make sure that when it's in a space that could be brought to community or decision making could happen, we want to make sure that that line of communication is open.
Well, Chief Miller, thank you. I'll just say 2 things. First of all, in terms of community engagement, we have a significant concern, as you just heard, about the engagement process relative to, I would say, bike lanes. We only use bike lanes as the particular item that is driving us all, which is this issue of traffic and transportation and the bottlenecking that we have as we come back from the pandemic. And we want this area to be friendly and welcoming to bicyclists and pedestrians and to vehicles, And that requires communication and community engagement. And we ask you to take that word back to the Transportation Department and everyone else to know that we are interested and eager to be engaged in that conversation because we do know our community best. And then secondly, we have a climate resilience task force, which you may be aware of. We just released our report on that. It's, I think.
I read a little bit of the report, so
Great.
I'm making my way through, but.
Great. Yeah, I know it's got a lot to it.
Yes.
But just as a reminder, it is essentially an engineering report. And there will be required a tremendous amount of community engagements to talk about the actual design of what happens after the engineering is done, right? If you think about the Big Dig, there was a lot of engineering that went into putting in the tunnels. But then there was a lot of community engagement about what was to happen on the surface that became the Rose Kennedy Greenway. And I'm sure that you and folks in the city will want to get everybody engaged in what happens in the public realm on the surface. And so we ask for your help on that.
Definitely. I'm glad that I was able to hear BTD's presentation before and actually pop in on your website that you referenced kind of the proposal for the State Street, Milk Street area. So I'm happy to share that with the team.
Sure.
And then also I remember, I think I came to a Christmas party and there was an implementation of the climate report. So when it came out in May, I believe it came out in May or late May.
Yeah, about then.
Okay. I remember like just really looking a little bit at it. So I will definitely look forward to reading more and also sharing that with Oliver. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to meet Oliver.
We haven't. We're trying to do that, and we're also trying to get a chance to be able to present to the mayor. We're sure that the mayor should be interested in it, and we would love to have the mayor come to meet with the Wharf District Council, as all the previous mayors have for the last 20 years. We haven't been able to secure a time on her calendar yet, but if you have a chance to be able to facilitate that, our community would very much. We've usually hosted those at the aquarium, and I can't speak for the aquarium, or for the Boston Harbor Hotel, but either one of those has been in the past the venue that we've had available to us, and we would love to have all of you come and chat with us. Just Stephen is nodding his head from the Harbor Hotel. So, in any case, other question for Chief Mellor.
Hi, this is Matthew Murphy. Hi, Chief. This is Matthew Murphy from Boston Harbor City Cruises and also Vice President of the Wharf District Council. And thank you so much for being here. You've been here more than once and engaging with the Wharf District neighborhood and Wharf District Council. We really appreciate it. I do two things. One is I just want to give a shout out of appreciation to Sierra, who is very engaged, is communicative, and takes phone calls at not always the best time. But I just want to commend her in your presence for a good job that she's been doing. The other piece, and this is related to something that Mark said, is just a small example of how you can help us in increasing the mayor's, her awareness of the Wharf District as a neighborhood. I have to say that some months ago, in the list of neighborhood coffee hours or whatever they're called, the coffee clutches came out. There was every neighborhood listed. I went down the list. The Wharf District was not on that list because in some way we somehow slipped through the cracks, that we don't, not every branch or arm of the city's government necessarily is aware that we are a neighborhood, an official neighborhood of the city of Boston. So, and as a neighborhood group, we are, I think, extremely active, engaged, positive, wanting to help make improvements, to make So whatever you can do to bring awareness to the mayor's office of what we're doing and providing, we certainly will want to extend the invitation to meet with the mayor when she's able. Just as you have done, you've gotten to know us, and I really appreciate that. And I certainly realize how busy the mayor is and how much is going on, but to have some personal face-to-face time with the mayor would be much appreciated.
Sorry, I don't know if somebody's muted. Definitely one, of course, Sierra is someone that truly embodies the best a liaison has to offer, like literally like amazing, cannot say that enough. So thank you for that. The other thing, so I'm aware of this, I guess like the sentiment of that you're mentioning, and definitely want to make sure we're doing a better job making like affirming that Wharf District is a neighborhood. It's not like a mystical place. It is a neighborhood that's facing very real challenges. And I guess like at the city, we could do a better job making sure that build that bridge. And I think that maybe start with, having the mayor at a meeting so we can make sure that happens. I can follow up that, and also just making sure it's kind of just embedded into like how things are operationalized. I think like you mentioned, coffee hours. We do sometimes combine neighborhood coffee hours because there's just like a lot of them, but we can think about location intentionally going forward. But we do traditionally combine neighborhoods just because it's can be a lot for them. That's just like going across the town, but we can look into that for next year for sure.
That'd be great.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? I know you're on a tight schedule, and we'll hope to have you back again for our holiday party. Not that that's anytime soon, but we appreciate your coming to that.
Hopefully before then, and I can follow up. I'll flags for Sierra times for the mayor to build that.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief Miller.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I believe, although I can't confirm, that we have, if I pronounce this, Corean Reynolds, the Boston's Director of Nightlife Economy. Is Corean? Oh, there you are. Oh, great. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to and what nightlife we have to look forward to. Your audio is not coming through. You're not muted. Maybe.
Manually muted myself, but hello, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing? My name is Corean Reynolds. I am the director for Nightlife Economy for the city of Boston. And I see this meeting as more of an introductory meeting. I'll give you a little bit about why this role exists and what the Office of Nightlife Economy will like to set forward and do a very high level overview of that. But I really want to get to know you all and have this as an introductory meeting to many other meetings individually and together as we kind of think through in a more robust, clear, comprehensive way what nightlife in the city of Boston will look like. Is that okay with y'all?
Please, yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, cool. So the city of Boston is really committed to stewarding a more robust and equitable nightlife, if you will, nightlife economy, nightlife culture. And we want to do this for all residents, for our businesses, and so that they can benefit and improve the quality of life for all Bostonians, right? So that's why back in February, so I'm only like about 4 months into this role, back in February, the mayor appointed me as the inaugural director for Nightlife Economy. In this position, I will serve as a liaison, a convener between city government and the nightlife ecosystem of workers, business owners, patrons, and residents. Excuse me, my contact. So working with these stakeholders, I'll be able to, and colleagues and my colleagues across City Hall, and various departments, like you saw Brianna, working with Brianna, you saw other folks on this call that I work with. Transportation is a big issue. So working with them, we'll identify and establish and coordinate systemic solutions, policy solutions that will bring a more vibrant, sustainable nightlife economy to the city of Boston. There are a few different ways that we'll do this. Those are not public yet. You know, you have to get the vote of approval by the mayor for everything, right? But one of the initiatives that we have recently launched is the night committee. The night committee is to help us carry out the commitment of a more vibrant, sustainable, robust nightlife. And it will assemble a diverse group of people who work in the nightlife industry. And nightlife workers are not just people who work at bars, restaurants, and nightclubs. It's our hospital staff. It's people who are in general hospitality, et cetera. So people who work at night, business owners, residents, civic leaders, culture builders, and they'll participate in what we're calling the nightlife initiative for a thriving economy, but in short, the night committee. Members will utilize their unique experiences and perspective, both lived and professional, because that's important, to contribute to the evaluation of rules, regulations, and policies to provide recommendations to address common issues and trends impacting the growth and vibrancy of Boston's nightlife and culture. I'll pause there because I just threw a lot of information at you. A part of it, and actually I won't pause. This committee will be 21 folks. We had an open application process earlier this month and at the end of May, and we got almost 300 applicants to participate on this committee for only 21 spots. So I am currently in the process of reading through those applications with a team inside of City Hall and externally to really think through who would be best fit to really join us and fulfill the mission of a diverse group of stakeholders. That's where I'll pause.
Well, we certainly, that sounds great. We certainly would hope that you end up with a member of the Wharf District on that committee so that we can be represented. We do have a number of hospitality venues that are very important to the vibrancy of the district, and they've been great neighbors and a great important part of the tourist destination and the hoteliers. I think Stephen would certainly say to us that it's key to having a vibrant nightlife with some perhaps limits and restrictions.
We already have limits and restrictions.
Exactly.
We've got plenty of those.
Yeah. Right. But other questions or comments?
I will add, the night committee will not be the only opportunity to engage and to influence what happens with this office and the work that we plan on doing. My door, my virtual door, my physical door is always open. And a part of my role is being accessible to all of you. So regardless of on the committee or not, there will be not only coordinated, clear opportunities for you to engage, but also personal relationship building opportunities as well, as small as just sending me an email and asking, hey, let's have coffee, or check out my establishment. Let's have a conversation. So my door is always open for that. Because I can't build a better, stronger Boston nightlife without the folks who are doing that, right? I am just the amplifier in this role.
Great.
Hi, Director Reynolds, this is Matthew Murphy, and you heard me a little while ago. We've been engaging quite a bit with Andrew Nemias of the BPDA, who is managing the plan downtown project, and in fact, Suzanne, I believe, was on the advisory committee for Plan Downtown. And when I hear you talk about your role and the projects you're working on, it seems there may be some overlap or synergy between those things. And just my personal observation over the years is that sometimes things are going on in the BPDA that may not be coordinated necessarily with things that are going on with the city.
Mhm.
And I just want to suggest that having some coordination and some exchange of information with the Plan Downtown project could be very useful.
Thank you so much for that suggestion. I can say a large majority of the time that I have been here at City Hall has been getting informed about the different nooks and crannies of what my colleagues and pseudo colleagues are working on, because I do recognize there's so much work going on at City Hall already, right? And so I want to kind of connect that and create a story where it pertains to nightlife. So thank you for highlighting that. And I look forward to integrating that into the future.
Thank you.
I would add, I would encourage you to look at the neighborhood organizations, because they have a tremendous amount of experience in the relationship between the nighttime establishments and the people who live and work in communities, whether it's daytime restaurants or people who are living here full time and so forth, that there can be a tremendous clash in what folks are doing in the day versus particularly in the nighttime. Quite honestly, friction between the two groups. So in many of the older neighborhoods, where we're not an older neighborhood, we do have a thriving restaurant business or group, and it works so well. We in the past have had some issues with nightclubs that start at 10 o'clock at night, which tend to clash with everything around them. And I think it's important that the neighborhoods have, they can understand what the neighborhoods have been through and what they're thinking about the future.
Most definitely. This role is to serve our constituents, right? That is why I'm here, to ensure that City Hall is working for the city of Boston, its residents and neighborhood groups. A part of my role also is to create this and tell a story and work with folks to create a harmonious ecosystem, right? And an ecosystem has to be diverse to be successful. And so how do we create conversations amongst neighborhood groups and business owner associations, et cetera, so that we have a clear understanding of where we want to go as an ecosystem, small at the neighborhood base, large at the city level, and where we can come together to not necessarily compromise, but to find a middle ground, to be harmonious and understand that we need a little bit of this and a little bit of that to create a clear, robust, sustainable ecosystem. And one might not serve the other, but the sum of them all is what will create that.
Right. Other questions about nightlife economy or the direction? You are welcome, and we encourage you to come to any of our monthly meetings, Corean, and we hope that you have a chance to. We regularly review applications for hospitality requests for the and maybe if you sit on one or another of those, you'll get a feeling for the tenor. of our kinds of conversations, which I think are always respectful. So
Awesome.
other questions, thoughts?
I tried to send my email to everyone, but I sent it to one person, so I'm going to redo that again, so that you all can reach out to me at any time. There we go.
There we go.
Got it right
Thank you.
this time.
Yeah.
I'd love to have the opportunity to get to know all of you. I heard that there's a hospitality group in there. Would love to have a conversation with y'all, and see how City Hall can better serve you.
Wonderful.
So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a new member. Some of the folks from Primitive at 200 High Street may be on the call or in the room. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, they're not in the room, they may not.
Anyway, I believe that the cannabis dispensary at 200 High Street is open-ish, is it?
It opened, officially opened.
Officially open?
The 16th.
Great. Well, they are our newest Wharf District Council members, and we welcome them. As far as updates are concerned, the Climate Resilience Project is fully on the website. The presentations are moving forward regularly. We have a whole list of what is being planned to city, state officials, to stakeholders, to marine operators, to just about everybody who will listen. So we have a long list. If any of you have requests for us to be able to share the results of the task force, we ask you to contact Suzanne or me or any one of our officers, and we'll be happy to set those up. Derek does a great job in presenting, and I think everybody will find that to be informative, and also happy to do it for other neighborhoods. I mentioned the fact that we had a presentation, discussion, excuse me, at City Hall about State Street. I won't repeat that. Our position is very clear on the website, and if anybody has any questions about that, we can talk about it some more, but I think it's a long haul to be able to fully express our feelings about how to have a robust and safe bike network in our community while keeping traffic flowing. Any questions on either one of those? Suzanne, you mentioned here community updates. Are there other things that we need to we want to talk about?
Nothing more than the community updates, just to let folks know that there's, well, you all know, there's so much going on in the city, particularly in the summertime. And it's such an exciting place to be. And many of our members are the folks that make this happen. So at this time, I want to open it up to anybody who'd like to just make a comment about what's going on in their area or their business or whatever. We're starting to put together our calendar now and promoting it, putting in special information regarding events that are going on in the district, and also trying to give more attention to our member organizations. And if the public goes to our website, they will see different places like, it's not a place, but like Boston Harbor Cruises, and a link to the Boston Harbor Cruises where they can get information. So the aquarium, we're doing the same thing. And we'd love to help and be more of a platform to promote our businesses, no matter what they are, as long as they're legal, of course. And I know Joanne usually has input from the Friends of Carr. Were you here, Joanne? Oh, there she is. You're on mute.
Sorry, thanks. Yeah, thanks. Very good meeting. Thank you, Mark and Suzanne, for putting this together. And I do look forward to seeing Mr. Fink coming back to explain the bicycle situation. As far as Christopher Columbus Park is concerned, we do have a Sunset Harbor cruise, thanks to the generosity of Boston Harbor City Cruises. They donated the entire first deck of the Odyssey for our cruise on August 8th. And it will be from 6, you can board at 6 o'clock. There'll be DJs, some music, appetizers. We set sail at 7 to 9, and we have a full buffet, salmon and chicken and vegetables and dessert. And I think it should just be a fabulous night. And the ticket price is just $55, which covers our cost. And then we'll have raffles that will be our little fundraiser for the park. On another point that has nothing to do with our neighborhood, but yesterday I took the ferry on the north side of Long Wharf over to Lewis Wharf in Charlestown to go to the Real House. And it's just, I was just amazed at all the condos over there, the beautiful harbor walk, the park, spray fountain for the kids, basketball court. It was so active. And maybe on a nice day just to go over and, I don't get to East Boston because it was never easy to get there. And the ferry had a lot of people on it, and it's free now, of course, because of the tunnel. But I think that would be a nice little outing. So, and just to give Boston Harbor City Cruises a little pump, they have clam bakes now on Spectacle Island, if anybody wants to do that. Yes, it's wonderful. I'm actually doing it Thursday night. Oh, Mark, Matthew, yes.
Joanne, you stole one of my talking to. That's fine. You're hired.
Well, I think it's fun. So it is wonderful. We live in a great community and everything. Do walk through the park. Our perennial garden is just absolutely stunning. So thank you all for your support.
Thanks, John. Matthew, did she steal your whole thunder or just some of it?
Well, I did just want to mention, we get a lot of inquiries about the closing of the summer tunnel and have been fielding a lot of questions. We have been having a number of guests who have missed the boat, so to speak, because it's taking a little longer to get into the city. So we're just trying to get the word out. If you're going to take a whale watch or a ferry to Provincetown or Salem, you want to add about 45 minutes of extra time. However, the upside, what I wanted to share with you is that the utilization of water transportation has really been excellent. The East Boston ferry is now carrying somewhere around 600 to 700 people a day, which is far above what it was carrying before. In addition to that, the new Lynn ferry service that is put into place, we're actually have been leaving people on the dock. They have a parking lot up there where people can park and ride, and it may the team may actually consider adding a vessel at some point if it continues to. And it's not a free service, but it is low cost. We also have the Winthrop ferry that is doing well, and then the Salem ferry, we have a special rate for North Shore residents on that first trip, that early morning trip that comes in on the Salem ferry. And thank you. I wasn't sure if anybody from Boston Harbor now was on the call. I was going to mention the clam bakes, which are all very popular. I'm glad to hear, Joanne. I'll be interested to hear what you have to say. You can be my secret shopper out there this Thursday. And there's also, if we check Boston Harbor Now's website, there's a whole series of community cruises throughout the summer for various communities. There's going to be an East Boston cruise, I believe, on August the 8th. And there are a series of free ferry days throughout the summer. I don't have the dates right in front of me, but it's a date people get here plenty early in the morning to just pick up your free ticket and go to either George's or Spectacle. And I just went out to George's Island this past Friday. I've been out there in a while, and it is such a lovely trip. And the DCR tour guides there doing an excellent guided tour of that Civil War era fort. A really fascinating history there, plus the beauty of the ride and the island itself. So lots going on. And last but not least, the whale sightings, in spite of the poor weather we've been having, the kind of off and on weather, the whale sightings have just been tremendous. We're having a lot of, seems like every trip we're getting, I get several emails back from the naturalists at the end of the day, and it always includes some spectacular photographs. So if you've not done whale watching in a while, summer is usually a good time to go, because the seas tend to lie a little flat than they do in the spring and summer. So the whale watching is going very well, of course, which is a wonderful partnership with the New England Aquarium. So that's my plug for now.
Great. Thank you, Matthew. Joe, I see you have a hand up.
Yep, hey, Mark. I'm usually wearing my Still Living Lab hat here, but I'll put on my Boston Harbor Now hat and just say thank you to Matthew and Joanne for the shout out for all the events. Please check out the Boston Harbor Now website, like they mentioned. Lots of good cruises and events throughout the summer. So thank you so much.
Great. Thanks, Joe. Thanks for joining us. Go ahead.
Just very
Sorry.
quickly, it would be remiss of me not to remind everybody about summer in the city, which is we've had our ups and downs. The weather hasn't been the kindest to us so far, but I think we're into the swing of it now, and we're here. Remember, Tuesdays through Fridays with live bands. We don't do the movies on Fridays anymore. We do music. And in fact, I was very nervous, but we tried karaoke for the first time 2 Fridays ago. It was either going to be the worst decision of my life or pretty good. And it actually turned out to be a great decision. If there's anybody here who was here on the night, it was actually amazing. There were some amazing performers. So we're going to do that one more time before the end of the season. But we don't have the same genres that we used to have. We've shaken it up a bit. We've got some country music, some other things going on, and we have a whole new food lineup. And I think things are a lot better than they were maybe last year, when we were sort of thin on the ground and struggling a bit with staffing and cooks and that kind of thing. So do remember us. It's a fun night, and we'd love to see you. And in fact, if you like gunpowder gin, there's some free gunpowder gin being poured at a promotion out at the pavilion behind the hotel tonight, and it started 10 minutes ago. So bye.
Everybody's gonna leave now. Yeah.
Stephen, can you just remind everyone, there are really 2 separate dining experiences. Is that right?
That's a good point. Yeah, there's the Harbour Walk Terrace, which is all the seating on the lower terrace that goes around the harbour. So that's a more affordable, more easy to access kind of experience. Just small sharing plates, and it's meant to be kind of quick and easy and casual. And then, yes, in our Sea Grill restaurant, both indoors and then outdoors on that patio on the upper terrace, that's a more refined dining experience with a more extensive and more expensive menu. So you're absolutely right. Thanks for reminding me of that, Mark. Two experiences available. And then I always remind people, free cushions. If you just want to sit and enjoy the music yourselves, there are plenty of seats on the steps, and we give you cushions to sit on. And everybody, it's the Harbour Walk, so it's chapter 91. It's free for all. So come and enjoy yourselves and enjoy the music.
Perfect. Thank you. The food is delicious.
Yeah, while we're in the business of shameless plugs, I would be remiss if I didn't mention our new beer garden on the dockside, so check it out. The hours, it is weather dependent, our hours are up on our website. And just probably for everyone that it's important to note that the city of Boston is welcoming the 114th annual National Convention for the NAACP next week.
Next week.
So lots of great activities that are coming to Boston. This is the first time in over 40 years that this convention will be back in town. So our CEO is a co-chair of the Blue Ribbon Host Committee, and we're a big partner in that, as I'm sure some of you are as well. A lot of activities, the prayer service, day of service, the Red Sox game before we get into the convention, which starts on the 27th or 28th, if I remember correctly. So lots of stuff going on in the city to celebrate the good work of that organization.
Any idea how big that convention is?
I believe there are over 8,000 people sending into Boston over the next week.
Cool, great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Fernando has his hand raised.
Yeah, Fernando. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My wife and I, more so me, are avid blood donors. So we're always trying to host blood drives. I've had them in Taunton, I've had them in Roxbury, and I wanted to have one in the Wharf District. So I am currently looking for space to maybe be volunteered to be used. I obviously can't do it in my building as we're doing construction, and then once we're open, I wouldn't be able to do it in there anyways, but we do blood drives with Red Cross. Typically we do like one a season. I think we've done 4 that we've hosted, but just another way to kind of give back to community, and just kind of wanted to throw that feeler out there. And once I have a space located, I can kind of reach out to our connection with Red Cross and kind of let them know and get the ball kind of rolling and scheduled and stuff. So just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I'm not sure if there's anyone on here that participates in blood drives or anything.
Stephen is actually raising his hand.
Yeah, we can help you with that. In fact, the Leventhal
Great.
Center, where some of our group is tonight, the Leventhal Center, I'll just remind everybody very quickly, is it's a community neighborhood resource. It's a not-for-profit space that is available to anyone who wants to use it. Now, my only criteria is that you're a not-for-profit group and that you have an interest in the harbor or the islands or our community or the waterfront or something like that. Those are the criteria, but you just need to contact me at the hotel or my assistant Sheila, who sits outside my window here. We hold the calendar for that, and it's pretty busy. It gets used by a lot of groups. Perfect for a blood drive. We did one here at Rose Wharf, gosh, maybe 6 weeks ago or so, and it has all the space that you need. So you're more than welcome to use that. I'll post my and Sheila's contact information here on the chat. So copy it down and give us a call tomorrow and we can check the dates for you.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and just, to follow up on that too, once you have the details set out, make sure that it goes out as an email to all the Wharf District Council members as well, because I certainly would advertise that to our building.
Sure.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great. Good for you, Fernando. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 15th. We look forward to seeing you all again at that point. Any other comments?
Yeah, if I may, this is Tim Carr from Old Town Trolley Tours. My boss, the general manager, Chris Crompton, may have been here at the last meeting. Yeah. I'm the assistant general manager. We just wanted to say that we're so excited and glad that we can be a part of this wonderful neighborhood first in what we do and trying to be ambassadors to the city, but especially the neighborhoods that we drive through. And we're very glad to literally have a seat at the table here and, help with any way that we can, be a part of the conversation, the communication to and from the city and the changes that they're happening. We want to be as in there as well with the resilience of the climate and everything that's happening around where we work as well. So
sure.
We're very excited to be here, but also a shameless plug. Actually, very, very strange that Corean was here talking about nightlife and everything. We do have our Ghosts and Gravestones nighttime tour, which is not really like a haunted house or anything like that. Which is a wonderful, entertaining time through the neighborhood and through some of the oldest burying grounds in the country. But we also do have a summer nights tour. So we have a kind of a trolley tour that goes around. Everybody stays on. If the kids have been running them ragged all day, or they're tired from walking through all the wonderful museums that we have here, or possibly seasick from one of the whale watches or something, they can just sit back, relax, hear a little like Jimmy Buffett song or something like that. They can look out the window and drool as the sun goes down over the city or whatever they want to do. But it's a really good time. We've had some really good feedback. If I can, I'll pop my contact information in the chat as well. If anybody here, you want to check those things out, so you can better tell the guests at the hotels that are around here, or just cross promotion and everything. I mean, we're always talking about the stuff that's on the wharfs out here on our day tours. So if you ever want to take a tour, just reach out via email and I'll get you on so you can see what we're also doing.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. And thank you for your membership. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Bunch of tours, great.
Yeah, Paul,
That's how I started.
Paul, did you want to say something? I mean, the great.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just good to be back involved again. I mean, we've been absent for a while,
Yeah.
but it was something Matthew approached us a while ago too, about being more involved with the Wharf District Council, and it was the bike lanes that actually brought our attention, and we've had disastrous implication with it on State Street.
Yeah.
I mean, between pedestrians on the streets, it's now a one-way street trying to get deliveries. It just doesn't work.
Nope.
And to be quite honest with you, we're there every day. It's not used. And I don't know where they're getting numbers for 500 bikes on Mill Street. I'm on Mill Street every day. And there was no room for a bike lane on that street. Period. Between, okay, selflessly, we have 2 patios on Mill Street right now. We're grateful to the city for those. But if they put in bike lanes, trying to get deliveries, they don't know where to park. And you can't get deliveries in the morning. We're fortunate to have busy restaurants that need deliveries pretty much 7 days a week. Drivers are coming to us from Kent Park. We're trying to get them onto Central Street and walk around the block onto Mill Street. But it's been tough. I know it's been, we all had our issues, and we don't want to go into that. And we've all worked in the hospital, a lot of us are hospitality people. And it's issues with staffing, it's issues with it's trying to get help from the city. It's become very, very frustrating going through the permitting process, going through issues with licensing, even with the patio this year. And it just seems to be never ending battle. And we're just looking for whatever help we can. And we appreciate what you guys are doing. But you know what? We consider ourselves, we may not live in the neighborhood, but I probably spend more time in this neighborhood than I do in my own neighborhood. So it's we are part of it.
Right.
And it's just, whatever help that we can get from you guys, we really appreciate. And we're happy to participate in every way we can too. So just thank you more than anything else.
Okay. Paul, that is our mission. So we look forward to having you be a regular part of our activities. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
We do need to have a members only session for a quick vote. Any other?
May I
anything
just
else?
ask-
Oh, yes, Heidi, go ahead.
Sorry, just I haven't heard anything in a long time about the Northern Ave Bridge or the Downtown Municipal Harbor Plan. Any updates on either of those, or still quiet?
Well, I know that the idea of a flood
Yep.
surge barrier is being investigated by the Corps of Engineers actively. And what that means, they are looking to see whether or not the Northern Avenue Bridge and this barrier can be combined, or they need to be separate, or whatever it is. So I know that is a study, an engineering study that's underway. Don't know.
All other planning on the Northern Ave Bridge, though, has kind of been tabled?
Yes,
Okay.
is my understanding. And I don't believe that there's currently any action on the MHP. Does anybody else have a different information on that?
I don't believe there is either, but.
Yeah.
You haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
think so.
All right, so I didn't miss anything then. That's good.
No.
Thank
Both,
you.
both important.
Thanks.
Okay, can I ask members to stay in the room and to be on the call for just a quick minute?
I'll give you a call.
Thank you all.
Yeah, good try. Good try.
I just want to explain this,